Welcome to the Markets Happy Hour podcast, a weekly markets update for investors the world over. Each week we discuss inflation, geopolitics, interest rates, equity markets, and other asset classes. To try to answer the question, what does this mean for my investment portfolio? Let's dive in.
Clearly, in 2026, metal mania is continuing with gold, and some of the fund managers represented here, I think, will be thriving from some of the metals trading, but it's certainly been a big factor. And then I call this half-life happenings. What it really means is some teams in tech their half-life has become a lot shorter than we would have thought. And an example of that has been Meta's decision to close down some of its metaverse virtual reality segment and switching their efforts and focus onto AI now and wearables and tech. That was a very short-lived dalliance with virtual reality, and we wonder, will other trends be as short-lived? So we'll start with inflation, and I think it's important to really, this is where I find interaction with a live audience is important, because I can ask, is there a dissonance or at least a disconnect between what we're seeing in the numbers and what we're seeing in terms of the actual experience on the ground? What we can see is that we have food prices have been more suppressed, at least in terms of the inflation factor. But I would suggest that there's actually quite a bit of inflation already built into food. The consumer's experience around buying food seems to be that it is still quite inflated. So basically, the core point of these slides is that the inflation is back to target. I think, even from a distance, we can see that these slides are coming down. Core services seem to be leveling out. And that's basically, there's a suggestion that we have this now in hand. My observation is that this is quite different from what the average experience on the ground is like, the average individual, whether it's the person at the low end of the K-shaped economy or in the middle. It seems that prices are simply being experienced as a pain point. I'd love to ask here, people in the room, if there's anyone to chime in. But do you find a disconnect between this positive story on the one hand around inflation, the experience on the ground, and one of the questions I usually ask is, well, have companies actually pushed through the tariffs to date, or have they been absorbing it, and is the transmission effect going to be lower?
I think in my experience, the prices continue to be elevated, and they are felt at the local level for sure. I think in New York City, at least, when eggs were priced at $12, and that's not the case any longer. They haven't exactly made it all the way down to where they were a few years ago. If that's an example of where the prices are. Dining out, also very expensive. Like, I think a lot of people are staying home because the numbers are kind of silly at some point. So I've seen it. I was just recently visiting family in Miami. Same story down there. And admittingly, these are major urban metropolitan areas. So maybe it differs in a more rural setting or a smaller town setting. I don't think so, though. For my travels bring me to the Midwest quite a bit, Columbus, Des Moines. And you're hearing kind of the same thing coming out of the books there as well.
Yeah, it's a great observation. And actually, now that we're in New York, maybe we should bring back to New York being really at the forefront of this affordability crisis and affordability topic. It seems that the mayoral election, this affordability rose to the top. It resonated. It captured the imagination of the voting population. And it seems now that affordability is being thrown into every press conference from both sides. Efforts that we will talk about later being made to drive that affordability. Yeah, so maybe any comments on that? Do you think that is a turning point, New York City, in terms of the affordability, the mayoral election? Is it a turning point? Did we just perceive it? I don't live in New York City. You do. Do you think we captured the vibe on the street, or was there something that was maybe misconstrued?
I don't think that it's a turning point yet. I think that it's early in the administration, and that there has to be more time for events to play out, for decisions to be made as to how people view the whole situation.